Raul Grijalva is part of the Progressive Caucus. They actually have a really interesting budget that goes more towards balancing the budget than, in fact, any of the other budgets out there, the conservative budgets, etc. They just do it in a different way. They actually raise taxes on the rich, they protect entitlements, they cut away oil subsidies, etc. And not only is their budget closer to balance than anyone else's, but it's actually more in line with the American people. If you look at the polls, it is exactly what the American people agree with. So he went on CNBC, and he's going to talk to host Michelle Caruso-Cabrera, and he's going to lay out his case. And he's going to say, look, you know, I don't want to cut Medicare, Social Security, etc. We have a different idea. She flips out.
Well, I think it would be bad, and I think it would, not only politically but economically, for us to turn our back on investments, for us to accept that Social Security will be changed, that benefits will be reduced, that Medicare will be changed, benefits will be reduced, that we'll throw Medicare under the bus. Poor people, disabled people will get less and less attention regarding their health needs and their needs in life. I think those in the long term are going to hurt this economy more, are going to create the kind of society that is all haves and have-nots.
You know what, as we're talking, the market is selling off once again every time members of Congress come on. And I've got to tell you, sir, I think you're contributing to the fears that we're going off the fiscal cliff, because it doesn't sound like there's any compromise in what you're saying. Do you care that markets are selling off dramatically when it looks like you guys can't come to a deal?
Of course I do. And I also care that, we've asked the working families and middle class to carry the burden for 2 decades on this tax rates and on the revenue generation for this country. I don't think it's unfair, and it shouldn't be a scare tactic to ask corporate America and the wealthy to pitch in and help this country when this country needs help.
Now, that was amazing, man. Don't you care? Look at what you're doing to the stock market. It's all you liberals' fault. Just cut Medicare and Social Security. Take it from the middle class. Take thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, because that's what it is. If you actually raise the retirement age of Social Security and Medicare, it costs the average taxpayer tens of thousands of dollars. That's an unbelievable robbery. That's a beltway robbery, okay? And she says, why aren't you doing it? You compromised. That's the right path. Look at this. The stock market is going down. As we're speaking, stock market is going down. It's all the liberals' fault. I mean, CNBC to the hilt. I mean, she's playing it perfectly there. Bow your head to the markets and do as the corporate people tell you to do. And then at the end, they're going to blame it all on him. Tut, tut, tut. Her and her co-anchor, watch.
There it is. That's the fiscal cliff in a nutshell.
I don't know. Like I said,
nobody will give.
I mean, he didn't say it here, but he did say in the notes to our staff that he wants to represent the people of his district. He doesn't. This is why they sent him to Washington, right? He doesn't want to sell them out in that regard. But you get politicians behind.
Can you believe that? He wants to represent the people in his district. What have we come to? You're supposed to represent the corporations that CNBC represents. What's the matter with you? That's Bill Griffith, another anchor. Man, they have given up any pretense of being objective or anything like that. They just I think CNBC is going to go out there with pom-poms next. And they're going to be like, let's go, corporations are the best. Yay, GM. Yay, GE. Get in line, right? Now, look, keep it real. What's the reality? What do the American people think? Not what do corporate executives that CNBC is trying to pleasure think? No, they agree with Raul Grijalva. Raul Grijalva says, do not cut Medicare. You know what percentage of Americans agree with that? 67%. That's just a Washington Post ABC poll that just came out, okay? You know what 67% is? I'll do some math for you. It's 2/3 of the country. But of course, Bill Griffith would say you're trying to represent people? Citizens? Americans? Get a load of this dangerous liberal. How about raising taxes on the rich? Come on, Americans aren't going to be favored with that, right? Wrong again, Bob. Washington Post poll, 60% say raise taxes on the rich. This is exactly Grijalva's plan. In fact, PCCC did a poll in New Hampshire. They're doing it in different states so they could tell the senators of that state, hey, listen, this is what your voters want you to do. So how about defense cuts? Well, if you listen to CNBC, fiscal cliff, you can't do defense cuts, really? 53% of the people in New Hampshire say you can, in fact, do defense cuts. In fact, you should do defense cuts. And it's not just New Hampshire. There was a recent national poll, 51% of the country. A majority say, do the defense cuts. By the way, what happens in the fiscal cliff? Defense cuts, and we raise taxes. And we don't do anything to Medicare and Social Security. That's exactly what the American people want. Now, they might not want the middle-class tax cuts, but that's easy. Democrats, Republicans, everybody should agree that yes. I mean, I don't agree. I actually I'm a real fiscal conservative. I want to balance the budget. I don't believe tax cuts work to stimulate the economy. I would take away all the Bush tax cuts. Why is Obama keeping any of them? But I'm not going to win that. 98% will get the tax cuts because Democrats and Republicans agreed to it. But why aren't they doing the thing that everybody agrees to? Because the corporations and CNBC do not agree to it. More. How about cutting subsidies to agricultural companies, the farm subsidies? In New Hampshire again, 79% say cut the farm subsidies. Of course. Why are we giving away these giant subsidies to these giant agricultural companies? It doesn't make any sense. The only thing more popular, cutting the oil subsidies. 80% in New Hampshire say stop the oil subsidies. And by the way, that number is just as high at the national level as well. So it turns out the American people want the Progressive Caucus's plan almost to a T. But if you turn on your TV set, you'll have a bunch of screaming anchors like on CNBC saying, they're causing the market to crash. They don't care about what's happening to our economy. They want to represent the American people. How dare they? How dare they? They are dangerous. No, CNBC, you're dangerous. You're what has caused the problems in this country in the first place. Remember, the guys you represent, they're the ones who crashed their economy. Not the average guy. The average guy lost his job back in 2008. But it was your beloved banks that crashed the economy, cost us 8 million jobs, and then had to get bailed out by the taxpayers. Grijalva is right, and you are 100% wrong.